Is it still called
you do
retweet
that.
though? I mean, it's one of those
Yeah.
weird things. It's like react.
No.
It's hmm?
It.
to,
I am
to
currently on
Twitters.
Twitter.com. There is no other website. So it's foolish to even pretend that there is another name for this social media site that seems more concerned about replatforming like fascists and white supremacists than trying to play a game. Is it X? What do you X people? Is it re-Xing? No, no, no. I
Is
am
it?
on twitter.com and there is a passive aggressive splash screen that starts with a big X logo and then I'm still on twitter.com. So it's Twitter, it's tweeting, it's retweeting. Everything Elon Musk has touched since his Twitter acquisition has been a complete fail, even down to the Neuralink patient is apparently having issues with his implant. So, like, the very first brain chip that Elon Musk has put into someone is not delivering what he promised he was going to deliver. So,
For the love of God.
I'm going to retweet this for us, but I genuinely don't spend any other time on Twitter because it is a terrible place. And hey, everybody, welcome to a podcast of tech and two old guys talking about fun gadgets and stuff. Hey,
Yeah.
I see there are already people jumping in. I see Ron and Scoop and Farhan. Ghost Starscream with X gon' give it to you. Gon'
Yeah.
give it to you. And Hawks is also saying good evening. Good evening, the Hawks TV.
Good evening,
Nice
sir.
to see some familiar faces in here, some friendly
I
faces.
just, yeah, you're right. You're right. Because if you do go to Twitter or X, it still says Twitter. It doesn't say X or. Oh my God! It's just a head. It's a
Yeah,
headache. I.
it's dumb. It's proper dumb.
It's not
Thread
just that.
sucks. Twitter's dumb.
I'm not on
Facebook is
social as
awful.
much as I used to. For some reason, no, I kid you not. For the last month, maybe almost 2 months, I've been kind of slowly but surely become more of a like step back, not necessarily
Yep.
engage as much, but I mean every once in a while. Like I saw something very interesting. So I saw our buddy, our friend Trish went to a Doctor Who shindig thing, and I'm
Yeah.
like so jealous of her right now. Like
Yeah, it
seriously,
looked pretty cool.
like
Yeah.
seriously geeking out Doctor Who. Big fan here. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like I could have been her. I'm like, I would be your +1, your +17, whatever. I'll be your camera guy, whatever. Just like to be a fly on the wall on that event. Yeah, as you probably know, that the new season's starting. They kind of teased it a little bit on Disney
Mm-hmm.
Plus. So yeah, it was definitely a very nice thing to see. Some people are having fun, kicking it and enjoying or geeking out over some Time Lord stuff. And the new Doctor
Yeah.
Who and Ruby Sunday seem pretty good. Or the new Doctor,
Mm-hmm.
like I keep saying Doctor Who, but
Yeah, I liked the
it's just
special. I liked the direction. I'm
Mhm.
always concerned about the modern era of Doctor Who because I feel towards the end of the Russell T Davies years,
Mhm.
and especially through I can't remember the name of the showrunner. He also did Sherlock.
Oh,
Uh,
Cumberbatch.
no, 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 no. The showrunner, the guy who did because he did Jekyll, he did
Oh, you
Sherlock.
Sherlock. Oh, hold on a second. Yeah,
No,
that's
I'm just gonna have to look it
no,
up because this is
yeah.
gonna bug me, and it has nothing to do with our phones and smartwatches and stuff. But
Smartwatches. No, absolutely. We're going to talk smartwatches because we've been rocking the same smartwatch for some time. I'm also rocking a new wedding ring for some reason. That's also another fitness tracker that I
there you go,
ultimately.
Moffat. Okay, so
Oh, Stephen.
the big
Yeah,
problem I've had, excuse me, the big
yeah.
problem. I'm gonna try not to talk into the cough into the mic. My voice is almost gone. So really,
I
it's
assure you, none
vital
of those germs
that
will get you. But yeah,
we
please.
spend as what little talking time I have talking about Doctor Who.
Please.
My main concern with the modern era of Doctor Who,
Mhm.
especially through the Moffat years, is we lost sight of the Doctor being a fun interloper through different incredible events and adventures, and instead we've spent all of this time building up a mythology of the Doctor is the most important person in the universe of all time. There's so much more specialer than you. When if you were a fan of classic Doctors, like I grew up watching Tom Baker.
Okay.
Like me and my dad would watch Tom Baker. I think Pertwee is my dad's favorite Doctor. And even the first couple years of the Russell T Davies
Mhm.
era, the Doctor is on a fun adventure, but he's just this last holdout of a species. He's not anything so universally important or special. He's not the singular most important entity in the universe. He's this kind of sort of ruffian. You know, he's like a rogue Time Lord who just decided to bugger off with one of these time machines and go on his own adventures and breaking all of the rules and conventions of Gallifrey. And if we can get back to a little of that sensibility with this new Doctor and this new companion, where it needs to be about fun eras in Earth's history and fun adventures in other planets and in the future, and it's just the adventures. That's what matters. It doesn't matter that the Doctor is another species and is responsible for regeneration and has had regenerations before and has unlimited lives now because of lore reasons.
Like regeneration limit is not only has been broken, but like
right.
Almost like actually it never existed. It wasn't even part of the show.
Because like that's never been an obstacle. Like we got over that with the Master back in like the 70s. So there are ways in storytelling and in lore and in canon to get around the structure of the Time Lords. We didn't need to hinge everything in the universe on how important the Doctor is. And I feel from Moffat to Chibnall, we completely lost sight of why Doctor Who is such a fun character. And it's not because the Doctor is important. It's because the Doctor stumbles their way into incredible circumstances, and his wit and their cunning help them achieve some kind of success.
Say a certain flavor of that is still around. We still get that little bit of. I
feel so bad for Jodie Whittaker because I feel it's her last couple of years where they doubled down on Doctor is mostest important, and she was too good of an actress to not let her have fun exploring the cosmos. Instead, they burdened her character with all that baggage.
Oh no, absolutely, and they unraveled a lot with her. But what I meant to say is, typically what we do, what I meant with that little bit of a sneak to that is, anytime they introduce the Doctor, anytime there's a new Doctor being introduced, the first time we get introduced to them, we get to see a little bit of that innocent fumbling around, trying to figure out who they are and how to get back into their memories and so on. So we get a glimpse of that, and then literally the moment the episode starts, episode 2, you're back into you're in the saddle, you're back behind the steering wheel, and you're driving down center of the universe. Everything, absolutely, I'm with you on that. I just feel like even with the new Doctor, when we were going through the specials, as Tennant came back, and then we started seeing some of the. We start seeing Tennant kind of just relax a little bit, right? He's not running out anymore. He just wants to, the Doctor that wants to retire. Apparently, there's retirement in this job.
For sure.
Wherever you want to retire, especially when you're able to split your persona. But
I'm glad that from not from a storytelling perspective, but just from a behind the scenes production perspective, that we got David Tennant back in, because I feel his exit from the show was really out of place with the character that they had created for him. The quartet of not quite movies, but just longer episodes that have the Doctor traveling down this darker and darker path. His last words during his regeneration were, "I don't want to go," for a character that had provided so much joy.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a gutting way to end the tenure of that performer, and it was like the final coda was bringing him back for this. To me, it wasn't necessarily like, this is the best Doctor Who TV I've ever seen. It's just like, I felt like we kind of owed it to the fans, and we owed it to David Tennant to find a reason to bring him back, because he didn't want to go and do the ending of his story right.
Trying to figure out the story, close. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the specials were very nice, and I appreciated them.
No, they're not very nice. I disagree. I feel like they are an unfortunate aspect of the realities of David Tennant's work at that point, that he had a crazy schedule.
Yeah, but I meant to say is in the historical architecture of the stories, bringing him back to give him that send off is what we missed from the original series when he was the Doctor.
Yeah.
and then kind of gave us that nice little segue to bring in the new Doctor and kind of just start the whole arc with him and try to see how he's going to basically tackle again all of the uncertainty in the universe and the importance of Ruby. Ruby to me, I feel like it's a very interesting character the way they started her, being that he was involved in.
I think we've been overdue making the companion
Mm-hmm.
not the most importantest companion in the universe, but just someone who is interested in a world beyond what they've always known. So I just want to I want to get a Doctor Who back to a Doctor Who that is fun and adventurous, a bit more family friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Who used to be a family friendly show. Like, kids would hide behind the couch when the Daleks arrived because the Daleks were so scary. I want to get back to that sense.
Okay.
If they want to do other things with Doctor Who lore, I feel like we could revisit an idea like a spinoff, like Torchwood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that Doctor Who has kind of grown. I miss Torchwood.
What was his name?
And also, not Jack.
Yeah.
Jack Harkness. But also, I don't like that we started pushing Doctor Who to the point where Sarah Jane got her own spinoff to have a little kid show. Doctor Who should always be little kid accessible. Spooky, maybe scary sometimes, maybe intense for little kids, but like we should always be crafting a Doctor Who adventure in that serial mindset that like a younger audience could be watching. And so that's again, I mean, I feel that way about comic book characters, that we keep aging them up for an older and older audience that grew up with them, but now demands more mature storytelling. And you're like, no, I don't want Superman to be edgy and authoritarian and fascist. I have Homelander. I've got Invincible.
You got Invincible.
I've got Superman as fascist. You don't need to do that. You don't need to sort of sully Superman and drag him down into the dirt and make him more real and grounded and darker and edgier. You need to give me the Boy Scout who's always going to be a shield, who will lose every fight to protect the puppy that's stuck in a tree while aliens are attacking Earth. That's Superman. So anyway, sorry, shorts are incredibly long. I'm very excited to see what might happen with Russell T Davies coming back. If he can just redirect, course correct this ship into what matters is that we tell a fun and engaging story every week. And at the end of this season, there's probably going to be some big cosmic doom machine that they all need to stop. And that's it. I don't need anything deeper than that. And I feel Doctor Who gets burdened when you don't have pile on too much crap.
No, absolutely. And I don't want to segue it because I really want to segue you into X-Men at this point. But I feel like we should talk X-Men once the part 3 is released and we've had a chance to test that. I think then we can talk about the finale, because I feel like every week, it's like, oh my God, like, wow.
This is hurting.
Yes.
Going week to week.
Oh, no, but it's so like, wow. Okay. Yeah. No. Like, some parts excite me, some part like, oh my God, they went back classic style. I'm like, no. They went dark classic. But either way, we'll talk X-Men next time. This week, obviously, as you know, there was a lot of stuff going on in the news. Pixel 8 officially being, I guess, not announced, but like available for pre-order if you're looking into getting it. And I'm assuming it's going to be, actually, if I'm not mistaken, it comes out like right at the time as IO. But yeah.
What's your favorite color? Ready, you go.
Honestly, green. It's usually blue or green, but after the what's it called, the St. Patrick's Day color green that I got at the Pixel 8 Pro that they sent me,
mint.
That mint kind of grows on me. The thing though is you need to get a case that complements the color of the phone, because if you do like nothing's wrong with that. That's a moment case. You know what I mean? Like,
I like the case, but I really do, because mine's bay blue.
Yeah. Oh no.
I like bay blue. I really wish I could get something. So my Peak Design case is awesome, and I love that they're no longer just black. But I want a bay blue Peak Design case.
Because you can't use skins with it. You can't do anything. It's not a clear case. You're right. You got to go with the style that they do. From the colors that I've seen, again, like I said, usually it's either the blue or the green. The green actually seems a little bit lighter, slightly lighter than what I imagine it being. Obviously, we till I get my hand on an actual unit, it's hard for me to tell from what we've
Yeah.
seen with the images and the videos. As we expected, minor spec bump from what we've seen before. I'm not kind of throwing judgment on it, but essentially that's what it is. It's a $500 smartphone that is focusing on bringing the AI functions that we got with the 8 and the 8 Pro to a slightly more affordable price point. Although
Slightly.
I would still argue that I feel like the 8 may be a better deal. Like I just, it's so close. It's like if you're
I
in the
think it is.
500,
Yeah.
So if you're in the
That
500
right there.
range,
Yeah.
you're so close, and you're getting a different experience. So we'll have to kind of see how the perception on that is. I started getting actually cases for the Pixel 8a already, and I don't even have
Ooh.
to. So I'm excited for that. Hopefully I'll get a chance to see it at I/O next Tuesday, and then
Yeah.
maybe we'll bring some pictures there. I'm only going to go there for the one day. Unfortunately, I don't have as much time.
Nah,
as
I'm excited for you to actually tackle that more on the developer side, like the actual nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
Like what a developer
sessions,
conference should be about, and just when you get to report back on that.
Supposed to be about, right? It is. I mean, it's supposed to be announcements about Android, but all the sessions and everything that goes around, like beyond the keynote, right? Keynote is the big thing that I think a lot of media, or in the past, that's what I used to focus mostly on. And then there'll be like hands-on areas and whatever. But for me, this time I actually got, again, as I think I mentioned to you last time, I got invited through the developer program. I didn't actually get in as, influencer, YouTube, whatever, or even media. That part of the town doesn't even know I exist anymore, or if I ever did. So for me, yeah, it'll be really exciting to be able to be back at the Shoreline, be back in San Jose, or, Cupertino, not Cupertino. I keep saying Cupertino. Palo Alto. I was like, dude, wrong.
I love it.
Imagine if I show up to the Cupertino campus and I'm like, I heard
you seem to be in the wrong place, sir.
And Tim walks out. He's like,
no, Tim wouldn't walk out. You just have a bunch of like Gestapo,
he'll throw a whole
security
bunch of iPads at
men,
me. He'll be like,
just frog march you right out of the city. You don't belong here, good sir. You don't belong here.
It'd be like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where they grab me from the shirt and like, and don't let the door kick you. No, sorry. Anyways, so I'm excited for that. Yes, I don't know why I keep saying Cupertino. One of the conversations we're going to talk about obviously has that we're going to talk
some Cupertino ties. That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'll be really curious. See, the whole conversation surrounding Pixel 8a is still following the trajectory. I'm using fancy words today, like trajectory in analysis. It's still following the same path that I felt was a bit of a concern from the Pixel 6a, when the Pixel has shifted from being a good, affordable mid-ranger experience in North America to being a bit more of a flagship killer. The plastic body, but the top-of-the-line chipset, a minor camera compromise, but it's still probably going to win all the blind taste tests from people who do like lazy composition photo comparisons. Like if you just take a random photo of this fire hydrant, people seem to like the Pixel version of that photo better than a Galaxy or an iPhone. I'm really hoping that we see Google able to iterate on efficiency after they make the transition away from Samsung to TSMC for the Tensor chip, because I feel like there's a gap. A OnePlus 12R is an incredible high-performance phone. That 8 Gen 2 gets a great battery life, but nothing has really scratched that performance per watt sweet spot that we had with phones like the Pixel 5a. And you don't need top-of-the-line horsepower in a mid-ranger phone. I feel a lot of the people shopping in that tier would probably appreciate better battery life than 15% better giggle flips and 17 more,
and
GPUs.
Yeah, you're right. They're not in the. I don't want the Maserati engine running in my, Maserati A series.
Toyota Tercel.
No, exactly. No, because your budget conscience, your feature, you're picky about your features and what you're looking for. But again,
sure,
right.
But a Pixel 5a was still feature rich and had fantastic fantastic battery
The
life.
battery is, I'll say this, the 6A, the 6A, the 7A both had some challenges with the batteries, and that wasn't due to them. That was just because they were trying to feature, like the 7A specifically when it was going in with the tensor, the processor was hungry. You were getting a device that warmed up pretty quickly.
Hmm.
We benefit now from the improvements that we saw with the new tensor on the 8A,
Sure.
but at the end of the day, it's still very much leveraging online-based functional services that I feel like the tensor is needed for. I'm talking specifically about like the AI stuff that they're trying to bring in and saying, it has to run on this and so on. They
Right.
could have done this with a 7 series, 7 Gen, or another SoCs type of style, even a Qualcomm style. Still leverage all of that because it's server-based for the most part. It isn't
Right.
really pixel-based. The camera is the algorithm. Google has proven year over year that they can run it on Qualcomm just as good as they can run it on Tensor. Obviously, better on Tensor, as you can imagine. But again, um, the 8A at $500 is making a harder conversation. Is it a direct competition to the 12R? Absolutely, because I feel like they're in that same range.
Hmm.
Although, if I had to kind of convince somebody to say, "Hey, this is better than the other," I actually feel like the 12R edges in many areas that I feel like many people would care more about. Faster charging,
Yeah.
larger battery, fast processor, great gaming, large display, great speakers. Like, there's a lot of things to love about the
Yeah.
12R. The 8A,
So, do you think the Pixel 8A,
yeah.
in being so much of this, so much similar internals as the Pixel 8,
Mhm.
is going to maintain video out as like one potential perk over the 12R?
Uh,
Because we got
honestly,
this from
I'm
Farhan.
yeah.
Farhan saying it's not like most average consumers even care about desktop mode in the first place,
I agree.
but this is why I feel the Pixel 8A is less a traditional mid-ranger and is more a flagship killer. And if
Mhm.
it maintains
If
those
it
features
maintains,
from the
yeah.
Pixel 8, it is more reflective of a higher performance Android experience
Mhm.
than a good bread and butter daily driver communicator.
Yeah.
I've always made that distinction. Like there's a Pixel Pro and a Pixel A. And up until the Pixel 5A, we had the A series was great bang for buck,
Mhm.
incredible battery life, and
Absolutely.
cameras that shocked
Mhm.
at sub $500.
Yeah.
That just were incredible. Well, now
Oh,
we're
yeah,
at
yeah,
five hundred dollars.
and the 5A, it wasn't even at $500. It was like, I think, what,
No,
$499
it's
or
sub
$449?
500.
Yeah, yeah, it was like
So
450 at the high end or
so
something like that. Yeah.
so now we're right at $500. This isn't the same. The Pixel A series is not what it used to represent,
Oh,
and
no, no.
there isn't there. I don't feel there is a really great North American crown jewel mid-ranger. I think we've got a lot of companies trying to push
Mhm.
hot rods into lower price tiers. That's awesome. That's exciting. A lot of people, especially in our audience, are really going to enjoy that. But I'm looking at my family and friends, and they don't care about hot rod performance. They want 3 days on a charge. And we could give that to them with the advances in battery technology and charging technology and refinements to mid-ranger chipsets, but that's not what's being sold. What's being sold is more akin to a Poco F series flagship killer type of phone.
A little bit, yeah. No, and it's harder too because the okay. So while we do have more options this year, like when we're talking about basically what OnePlus and Pixel's doing, at least in this series, we're also getting a lot less players in the game. So it's not like, we have a lot of the same players. Not new. We're not seeing the new, like Poco, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You just mentioned it. That's a great example. We have never, and we'll probably never see the F series sold in
Nah.
the US. Honor that used to be sold in the US no
But
longer.
but but who's doing a mid ranger?
So
I
right
mean,
now it's
Samsung has
primarily,
an FE
so Samsung has the FE, their A series as well, and then they
and
also
Motorola,
Moto. So they brought the Edge for this year. They didn't bring the Edge Plus,
right?
and we technically have the Edge. So we're noticing, like, I mean, even TCL stopped thinking about flagships, right? They went straight to mid
Yeah,
ranges.
TCL went well,
very
TCL, like,
very budget.
I don't even know that any. Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
I don't know that
and not
anything
even
TCL has
mid-range.
been
Like they're
putting out is
shooting.
even mid.
They're
It's
going
entry and
feature
budget.
phones, budget, free on sign up type of solutions and so on. Which again feeds exactly what they realize that's where they sold the most. They don't want to focus on anything that doesn't work. Moto's shifting into that space as well. They've released a few devices already, and we're almost halfway through the year. By the way, we're
Hmm.
what, like May 8th. I'm like, by the way, happy early Mother's Day to anybody that anybody that's spending some time with their family, their moms, their wives, their sisters, anybody that's a mom in your life. Please celebrate it. Happy early Mother's Day. I just wanted to throw that out. I realize this weekend is going to be very special.
And we
To
also
a
had
lot of
a few folks jumping in. We've got
yeah,
Darren, Michael Corcoran, Farhan's dropping some comments, but also Gwendolyn is saying, "Yo, what's up?"
yeah,
with a nice, cute little wave there.
yeah.
Oh, Ron Guido saying the Nord. So I guess that would count, I think, as a more traditional
That would be more of what
mid-ranger
yeah.
carrier product that you
But I feel
find in
like
like a low-cost carrier, and
I
it's
still
a
think
little
it's more
nicer,
budget
but it's
though.
not.
Would you consider the Nord that we have in the US budget or mid-range? I feel like they're more budget. They're around
Um,
the 2 to 300 off contract, and typically
I,
you'll
I
find them less.
feel I feel we get really close
Yeah.
to blurring that transition.
Okay.
But ultimately, I would agree with you. I feel the Nord in North America is primarily a low-cost carrier budget phone.
Yeah, because we don't get to
We
see the
we
international,
don't get the nicer
Nord.
Nords
Yeah,
that,
like the Nord
yeah.
3
Well, we
back
got
in
the
the day.
12R, which
Well, I mean, actually, technically, well, that's an
so
ace. But
we
yeah,
kind of
technically,
did, but we kind of didn't.
I like OnePlus's strategy this year. Seriously, like their approach
No,
to
I
selling
really
the
do.
12R, it
I,
was a
I
banger.
I feel like OnePlus is executing the best flavor of a
Yeah,
OnePlus strategy we've ever seen. But what
yeah,
I'm saying though is I miss Google having an option, and I'm pinning this on Google because we used to have this, but
yeah.
genuinely I miss having an Android phone that I could clearly point to from a reputable manufacturer that didn't need to be imported for someone who I felt was mostly concerned about battery life. I feel like that is the critical application for so many people that we're not listening to the average consumers.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
We're missing a very critical aspect of the phone as communicator experience. And we have the technology for people who tackle a couple calls, mostly text, and scroll some social media, occasionally take a photo. We could be giving them 3 day, 4 day battery power phones because their needs are so much lesser than in terms of outright compute power.
Yeah.
And we could be doing that at reasonable prices. Like, I think if you made that really nice and we had a good die shrink, like 4 nanometer chip
Hmm.
that catered to that kind of A78 core, A55 core, good
Okay.
efficiency, something like that, I think that could be a very reasonably priced, nice phone. And the people that got it would adore that they had battery life for days. And that's the thing I miss is like I don't know what exactly to point people to when we don't we don't really have that. The Pixel 5a was my recommendation for that.
Yeah, and there's a good chance that once I get the Pixel 8a, my son's probably going to want to upgrade from the 5a to the 8a. Although I feel like one of the reasons why I didn't upgrade him to the 6a or the 7a, and then initially was because of the battery life and the heating concerns that I was having. But I do
Yeah.
appreciate where we have now with, we've already lived through it with the 8 Pro, so we know how the battery, how
For sure.
the
And
experience is.
and definitely an improvement,
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm with
even
you.
if it's not
Still,
quite
it's not what we
as
want. Yeah, it's not the step that we want. We're still about a
but
year away
we're
from it.
getting so much
Agree.
closer. My Pixel 8 Pro, it is a champ. I love this phone, but then I pick up a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 and I love those phones.
I the Open, the OnePlus Open is still such a snappy device, such a really nice foldable to hold to use on a daily basis.
Yeah.
The longest I've actually ever used a foldable has been on the Open, like the longest,
Yep.
because I typically will switch between devices and so on. But the Open, I'm having a hard time removing my SIM from it, and it's just such a
Mhm.
really good like I want to say business productivity, production, everything that you want to do with a device is just there.
It's a real good
It's a
computer.
very good computer, and
Yeah.
like I said, if we had a desktop experience, maybe, but I think even without that, we're still getting a lot of good features. Works with AR glasses, or basically pass-through glasses. Has all
For
the things that
sure.
we want with the camera, still stunning displays. So, um, well, I think what we can kind of figure out at this point is, at least where we are in the beginning of the year, we're starting to ramp up again. We are days away from Sony's announcement. I'm seeing more and more rumors online that we are not getting a Sony in the US. I'm starting to feel
Did
a
you see
little
the
bit.
Bloomberg editorial?
No, I mean,
Okay,
again,
so
I'm
Bloomberg, I can't remember who did it, and actually, I might be able to pull it up off of my private Discord. Hold on 1 second. I'm doing it live. I'm doing it
please
live.
do. I
We're
just
doing it
it was
live.
I forgot who it was. I want to say it was Farhan on Twitter, maybe even on X. Farhan, remind me. I don't know if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw the tweet and I was like, crap. It sounds like
Hmm.
we are not getting it. It sounds like
Oh,
either
it
no.
was, again, this is in keeping with our conversation. Owner of Sexel 7 Pro, the member on the private Discord who's really into his pixel lifestyle. Hold on, let me pull this up over here, and I'll screen share. So Bloomberg put this out as, who wrote this up? Takashi Mokizuki. I have definitely mispronounced that name, and I
No, I think you
apologize.
pretty much nailed it. Yeah, we have no
I,
idea.
I'm pretty
We
sure
have
I
no
didn't.
idea if you nailed it or twisted or you've just insulted half the nation at that point.
So I'll also just kind of make this a little bit bigger.
Oh, that came up on my
Google's Pixel leaves little room to breathe for Sony phones, and Japan's cell phone market
yep.
is on a second year of downturn. I think numbers have been somewhere around 5 to 7%. Someone will have
Mhm.
to correct me on that. But Apple is currently over 50% market share in the Japanese smartphone market, and the only company that showed growth was Google. The Pixel saw something like a 500% increase and went from like mid single digit market share to low double digit
Mhm.
market share in the course of like one generation of phones.
Kind of like what
All
we
of
had
that,
with the 6 and 6 Pro when Google when that massive jump that we had in the US.
yes.
We had that a few years back. Yeah.
And it's funny, like the Japanese smartphone market is not dissimilar from the
Mhm.
American smartphone market. There are a lot of commonalities there.
Yep.
But all of this sort of market share change up, the company that seems to be getting hit the hardest in their own home turf is Sony.
Well,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of commentary. I don't want to, excuse me, I don't want to completely read through this entire article because I don't think my voice could handle it. But from, let me get this here.
I want to say I saw the article pop up on my feed, but I didn't get a
Yeah.
chance to click at it. Yeah, I was going to read
Is
it
a
later.
spokeswoman on behalf of Sony said, "We recognize that our mobile communications business is not only a handset business, but also a business with important communication technology that contributes to the entire Sony group. We
Mhm.
believe that the communication technology we hone with smartphone technology is a necessary element to connect creators and customers and to provide entertainment regardless of time and place." So that to me is not a ringing endorsement of confidence that Sony has in their smartphone portfolio.
No,
It's very much what we've been talking about recently with Sony learning what they needed to learn from smartphones to then approach other markets like broadcast.
yeah,
And like
yeah.
you have an Xperia Pro. Well, now you don't have an Xperia Pro. You have a 5G connected modem monitor that can act as a broadcast monitor for a Sony Alpha camera. Yes, this is Sony saying, hey, we really need to invest in these technologies. It's not Sony saying, boy, howdy, are we really driving the next generation of phones and we're going to be reaching out to consumers and impressing upon them the
Yeah.
superiority of the Xperia handset. So, like we've been saying, I'm feeling it's more and more likely that we will probably not see Xperia 1 in the United States this year. That's my That's my hypothesis. Given all of the evidence that we've been looking at here, the how
Well, the
quiet
longer,
this
yeah.
launch has been, and how watered down this Xperia looks compared to what the Xperia One has represented for the last 5 generations.
It's a shift. You're right. You're right. And I think we kind of start seeing, because I think they did release that. So we haven't seen a Pro i2 or a Pro 2 for updates for a long time, and we were all kind of like wondering what's going on. Last year we also saw the departure of the Mark 5 out of the US, and that was also watered down when it was released in Europe. It wasn't the same 5 series that we typically see, like a baby one. Um, and uh, it saddens me to see where we are in this position. I am not totally surprised. I'm not going to say that I am totally surprised. I mean, again, Moto did the exact same thing already, where they didn't release their Plus series in the US. They released it in Europe,
Yeah.
and no word inside of when and if it's coming to the US. Um, they're focusing more on the mid-rangers. They're focusing more on budget affordability and devices that are typically going to be selling more of. I mean, and I think to a certain point, Sony Sony never really wanted to be a leader in the phone business. I think to a certain point, after the consolidation of all their series, and we lost the compact, we lost everything, and we just went with Xperia. And Xperia was basically their line as they were focusing on it. We
Hmm.
could see that it was a much more honed down learning experience year over year. All the improvements they've done were into making it work much better with their Sony cameras. It was better to communicate, FTP connections, direct display, on device recording with the One Mark 5, all of the things that we loved. And I mean, and obviously improvements in the other areas, stereo speakers, gaming, all of that good stuff. Um, it just saddens me. I'm not gonna say
Hmm.
I'm sad. I mean, I'm not happy. I mean, I'm happy that the 1.5, sorry, the 1.6 is coming out. I'm sad that's not coming to the US. I'm also sad to see how the configuration is going to be, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we're literally less than a week away. I think about a week away. Um, if not, and then so I think we'll have to see how that kind of goes with Sony, and in their own market, it's a little bit hard to be beaten by Pixel. But it again, as you said, Pixel makes it more of an easy point and shoot type of thing. Sony is
Yep.
more, you know,
I mean,
prefer.
Fat Produce is using. I think he has an Xperia One Mark 5. Andrew will have to correct me. But then also Farhan saying, I have Japanese friends who still use Sony. At this point, people buy Sony phones for professional work.
Mhm.
Ali is agreeing with us. Xperia isn't coming to the US either. Their US social media pages have been inactive since March
It
28th.
it's hard, right? Yeah, like you try to see okay, so I'll say this on Instagram and so on. I still see posts on the One Mark 5, but I feel like like
Nope.
even just
But
cross posts to
but
say what's
it
happening next
it's
week.
it's kind of the slow, agonizing decomposition
Yeah.
of the North American relationship that we also saw with LG. Doesn't matter that LG put out the absolute best phones in the company's history in their last 2 generations of devices. They didn't tell anyone about the phones, so no one knew about the phones. Nicholas he has an Xperia One Mark 5. He says it's a great phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ghost Starscream saying, does the 5 Mark 5 being on Amazon US not count as Sony being in the US market? And I've tried looking it up. There is no North American variant of the 5 Mark 5. You
Yeah.
can buy unlocked global editions, and they will absolutely not support any CDMA, that
Mhm.
whatever remnant CDMA is still out there, and you're going to have pretty spotty 5G coverage for most carriers. You can buy a 5 Mark 5
It
on
specifically says
Amazon
GSM only, no CDMA, and not compatible with Verizon.
with
Or, I mean,
Verizon.
Sprint doesn't exist
They
anymore.
say Sprint, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever part of the T-Mobile network
It's a
is
little
still
not a few
operating
years
there.
ago. Yeah.
But it's $750 for a phone that's basically just getting imported from
It
out.
is.
So
It's
no,
absolutely, and I wouldn't.
I
I
don't
wouldn't.
think that counts in the same way that I can buy a phone from Giztop and have it sent here, and it's absolutely not a North American Xiaomi.
Well,
Like that.
the other
That's
thing
not a
with it
thing.
too is the 5 series last year felt more of an upgraded 10 than it was than it was more of a compact one. So it was a shift in what they've, like I said, last year's experience. And the only reason I even know this is because I got a chance to use one while I was in one of the trips with Xiaomi in Europe. And one of the other journalists that I was in the group that we were in happened to have a 5 Mark 5 on him. And I was like, wow, that looks nothing like a 1. Like, and I was like, dude, okay. Look,
and it's sad that the 5 Mark IV went out the way that it did, because I really would have loved a 5 Mark IV, but with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2.
It was the
would have been
just to get the upgraded SoC, because it's hard, because Sony always kind of commits to the original launch. They never release a plus. So if you have to, if you're not happy with the way that, again, not to say it's Sony's fault. I'm just saying it's just the way the SoC
is.
To a certain point.
How dare they?
How dare they use the 8 Gen 1? The year was released.
Oh, they should just have made their own chip. Oh,
they should have gone.
So everyone's making their own chips. They should have just made their own. But like DTNL is saying here, maybe the real Xperia 1 Mark 6s were the friends we made along the way. So maybe that's what really matters here, folks. If you were a fan of LG phones and Sony phones and you had taste, then you found other people who also had taste. And maybe that's really all we needed from LG and Sony, was to find those other nerds out there that thought like us. And now, unfortunately, we just need to get on with our lives and just have phones that are phones, not...
Well, so last thing about the Japanese market, surprisingly, also Xiaomi finally released their the 14 Ultra is as their first ultra premium in the Japanese market. That was a new announcement. I think it was early this week. So
that's exciting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've seen them. I mean, obviously we know it's international, so it's not like Japan wasn't going to be able to get it. And I'm sure it's so easy to just get it from either Hong Kong or from, I mean, actually they would get it from Hong Kong.
But that's so again, kind of like the United States. It's not as bad as the United States, but it is a different. So Xiaomi does best in markets where they are not under the boot heel of local carriers.
Yeah.
And the Japanese market is a little bit more carrier driven, kind of like the United States. So that is an exciting opportunity. If Xiaomi is looking at how do we crack into new markets and how do we find new audience, like that is an incredible fight for Japanese cell phone consumers to look at a Sharp. Like the Sharp Aquos is a monster phone.
Yeah.
And now it has some real competition from a Xiaomi Ultra. That's a fun fight. That's a fight that we're 3 years behind here in the United States when it comes to that kind of screen and camera technology.
Exactly, and to bring it into under the Leica branding. So it's not just coming in with Sony. It's coming.
You like the Leica?
You
like it?
Exactly. Like this. That's what I say. But yeah, so yeah, Sony. We'll have to see how things go. But in reality, the writing is on the wall. Sadly. No indication of U.S. release. I'm pretty sure it'll be probably released initially in Asia. It's probably China and Japan first, then Europe. And if for anything like exactly the same way we see the Xperia 5 Mark 5 on Amazon, it'll be an import, and it'll have basically limited compatibility. And I think that was the number one the number one delay we dealt with in the U.S. for the longest time. It wasn't because the US wasn't, they just wanted to hold us back to be the last market. It was their certification, having to deal with all the carriers, having to get their devices, although an unlocked model, compatible with so many companies. It is weird. It is so weird to see that even though you can pick up an unlocked device in the US, you pretty much have four companies now: Moto, OnePlus, Pixel, and Samsung if you want Android, and then of course Grandpa Apple over there, with everything else on that side. But we'll cover that. I think we've covered enough with Sony. We'll have to see next week. I'm sure we'll have a little bit more recapping next week, hopefully before.
Well, let's shift gears. And again, I don't mean to kind of force us along, because we usually
let's do
kind of ramble on a little bit.
No.
Did you tune in to the Apple event?
I caught the last 2 seconds of it.
I watched a recap. Okay.
So I was driving in. I'm not gonna lie, I totally forgot about it. I knew there was an okay. So I knew there was an Apple event. I knew it was iPads, and I was driving. I was having a good conversation with my brother. I get into the office and I sit down and I see them finishing off, and it was something about the M4. And I'm like, what? That's how my reaction was
Yeah.
like, what do you mean M4? Like, and so I ended up watching, I think, was it The Verge or CNET's 7-minute recap? Because that's
I think
that's about the attention.
I think I
span
caught
that
the
have.
exact same recap.
Because come on, 90% of it is song and dance and words and charts and them better than everything else.
Well, I mean, I feel this addresses your biggest concern with technology these days, is that you've been so upset at how thick all of our gadgets are, and that the only thing you've cared about is you've been on this ruthless pursuit. You want a tablet that will bend under the gravity of its own mass if you hold it from the corner of a bezel. And now I feel like you finally have that solution here. I'm shocked that you haven't put in a pre-order for a $4,000 iPad Pro. You now have the option that you've been railing for. I mean, since I've known you, all you've cared about is that you want your phones to be increasingly thinner to the point of losing all other features and structural integrity.
I want more curved edges. I want thinner bezels, and I want thinness to the level of paper, my friend. I want to be able to do this, and the phone does. Whoosh. That's what I want with my phone. If my phone doesn't whoosh when I'm using it, is it working? How else is it going to whip those Geekbench scores into shape, man? I mean, otherwise, like, do you even? I'm like, come on, man.
Michael Corcoran, I want this ish to be so thin that you can swipe the entire phone through a credit card machine. Samsung Pay gave up too early. Shouldn't have been about, like, wireless radios. You should have just had an edge on the phone. You just swiped the phone directly through your credit card reader.
There's a lot of. Okay, so first and foremost, the thing that surprised me the most was the fact that, at the same time as they were going with all of that thickness and all of that, the conventional, we need a 5.1 millimeter thick iPad Pro 13.
Well, I want to point out, hold on. We've got to set the record straight here, though, is that Apple is lying to you here.
Because they're only measuring the actual.
We've caught Apple. No, even taking their BS, not measuring the camera lump as the thickest point. All new pro design, because professionals really care about having something so thin that it's functionally, structurally incomplete, and you need to put a case on it anyway. All new pro design, incredibly portable, the thinnest Apple product ever. The thinnest Apple product ever, except for the iPod Nano.
Well, I thought it was thinner than the iPod Nano. I think didn't they say it was thinner than the iPod Nano? No, that I never had an iPod Nano. So
well, they're saying it's the thinnest ever.
That's what CNET recap. They kept that in the recap. No, I know.
But no. And Darren is saying, what, even including floppy disks? So I'm willing to give them not media for an Apple computer, but no, the flash thin iPod Nano was thinner than 5 millimeters. So this is a lie. Apple is lying to you. Now that we've proven this,
didn't do enough research on their own product.
Yeah, exactly. I guess things existed before the iPad and the iPhone.
Go down to the historical mall where all the iPod Nanos are on the wall and just look at all the measurements. I was like, dude.
So I just want to point this out. Like, now that their credibility is totally shot, nothing they say, you can't trust anything Apple says. They will bald-faced lie to you about their iPad Pro. That's the kind of company they are now. That's the character of this company. I think it's sad. I think Apple used to care.
Really?
I mean, sorry, I was going on a bit. I couldn't stick the landing. I just sort of cracked myself up there.
I mean, I know it's early, but like, what? Really? Whew. Man. Okay. Juan, please tell me exactly how you feel, dude. Like, because I don't think you're being honest with me.
Snark aside, Ultra Retina XDR, and at some point it would just be nice if we called the displays what they are. I think, to your point, I don't know that it was such a big shock, but it seemed to be one of the main talking points was Apple seems terrified that there's like almost a corporate panic about their public position on AI. And the most recent MacBook launch seemed to be a reaction to that, where they're making these completely nebulous claims about MacBooks are the best laptops for AI because they're ARM chips with MPUs, and we're only just kind of catching up to that in Windows land. But if you've been on Android or even an ARM-powered Chromebook, like ARM chips with MPUs are pretty common.
Pretty common. Yeah. Custom NPUs too,
So-
not just even standardized stuff like that.
Yeah.
Qualcomm puts out. But no, I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it seems to me that the iPad launch is yet another token gesture to Apple investors and shareholders to try and drum up more confidence in this AI battle that Apple is losing, even though I don't know that anyone is winning AI right now.
Right now it's still the wild west of AI, because everybody's doing their own thing. Nobody's figuring it out, and AI just is a term now.
Anyone who's successful in generating an audience for their AI, it's coming at the expense of billions of dollars of infrastructure to build up that AI.
Yeah.
So even if you have a ton of paying customers on a Chat GPT powered service, no, you're generating revenue, but you're not generating profits. This to me really goes hand in hand with how terrible that Crush commercial was for the iPad. That Apple is now trying to walk back. They're apologizing for it.
I don't understand.
It's so tone deaf.
Who in their right mind thought that
greenlit
was
that commercial?
Decision? Like, I understand you probably were on TikTok and you saw the freaking whatever channel that does crushing everything, and I'm like, yeah. But did you think showing us destruction of all other things on top of that would
all artistic creation?
Yeah. It was such a cringe show to start, and I'm like, whoa. And they showed you slow play-by-play ASMR level stuff.
And I want to show. I'm not going to show the video here.
I want to. Let's not do that.
I want to detail grungy, industrial aesthetic, super dingy and dirty, dark. It's a dark commercial. The only other commercial I can think of from Apple that it was similarly dark but had a better message was the Thunder commercial, the AC/DC song where the guy's got an iPhone on his bicycle handlebars and there's a rainstorm happening outside, and it was one of the first ads showing that the iPhone was finally water resistant. Like, they invented water resistance 3 years after Android phones had done it. That commercial was dark. This commercial had all of the trappings of that darkness, but with also this sort of analog horror, happy soundtrack behind the destruction of all of this artistic equipment. And I'm watching it for the very first time. Holy crap, we've come full circle. Yeah. Apple now is the dystopian authoritarian company that they were rallying against in the 1984 Super Bowl commercial. Dark, drudgery, everybody's the same, everybody uses the same tools, you all think the same, and the woman goes running in with the hammer to throw it in the face of Big Brother. Literally Big Brother 1984 for the 1984 Super Bowl. Now Apple is mask off saying, yeah, we're that company now. That's who we are now. We are the dark dystopian authoritarian company now. We're the winner.
Against Apple. Just yeah.
I mean, you could literally have now a woman running in and throw a hammer at the machine press, destroying all that stuff, and be like, don't let 2024 be like 1984.
Bam!
It's shocking to me. They completely misread the room, and they are so thirsty to keep shareholders happy. Because the numbers are a little low, and they don't have an AI play.
They could have gone in. My thing is, like, you could have delivered the same message in the fact that you're compacting all of these different technologies, and maybe do a teleportation and miniaturization, and you're sending it down a path, and it's miniaturizing going in, and it's going to be in the tablet. You did not have to crush.
I think Gwendolyn has it right. You could have done the reverse, an iPad expanding into
Yeah,
every
yeah,
one of these
absolutely,
tools
exactly.
would have been beautiful and vibrant and creative and just a wonderful metaphor for the thing. Because the people in our chat right now and the
Yeah,
people who are going to hit the replay and catch the audio, we are the people who are trying to use mobility and technology and gadgets for more and more and more.
yeah,
Like, if we can displace using, a laptop because I've got my phone and my phone can do this. I've got a Surface Duo on my desk still, and you know what? I've scribbled a lot with this stylus.
hmm
I've doodled a lot. I pulled this out maybe before I should. Maybe before I pull out like my sketch pad and charcoals. I should probably pull my sketch pad and charcoals out more frequently. But why when this is not as messy? I can doodle anytime I've got, it's charged. My pen is actually out of power. I just got the vibration warning saying, you got to charge the pen. So there are so many ways you can take that idea and expand on a fun, lovely metaphor of technology empowering and democratizing the creative experience. And Apple took all of those ideas, chucked them into the bin, and then said, destruction, dark, grungy, industrial destruction. That's what's going to impress people. Let's do that. It is so out of step. This is one of the worst, one of the most glaring missteps I think we've ever seen from Apple advertising. We can poke fun at things like, what's a computer? Like, that's charming, and it's just kind of a dopey thing to put into a commercial. This was a scary, saying the quiet parts out loud kind of spot from Apple that it's shocking to me that
no,
this
I'm
got
no,
made.
absolutely, and like I said, I didn't see it in the original. I saw that later when I decided to try to, because I didn't CNET one wasn't out right away. So as I was trying to recap the event, I saw that initial scene from it, and I was like, wow, they're going through it. Like the whole time I was watching, I was like, oh my god, they're going through with it. They're actually going to go through. It's still not done. It's still going slower. And it was like as it was just like watching a, for the lack of a better term, a dumpster fire keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying again, I understood what they were trying to do and I got what they're trying to do. It was just done very badly. But with that being said, my concern though is also their direction with the hardware that they're going with. As you said, I think prior to that was, who is out there asking for the thinnest iPad ever, but also the largest iPad ever, but also the most powerful iPad ever at the same conversation?
Yeah.
Like, I look, if you're looking for
Think of our content creator friends, and
I
I'm sure if you put it to them and say, well, I mean, wouldn't you want more compute power in a tablet?
no,
All of us are going to
absolutely.
say yes, we do.
No, absolutely.
But fundamentally, so many of them have tried. Look at like when the iPad got the M1 chip, look at
Mhm.
all of the channels from our compatriots that tried to drive an iPad into becoming more of a Surface Pro. And how many of them stuck with it? Not very many.
No, very
Structurally, the
yeah,
problems with the iPad have never been compute power. It's been using a mobile OS
that's
and
absolutely.
trying to make it fit in a laptop style environment. And
It's
same is
iPad
similar
OS.
to,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, but that's the biggest limitation of it. Um, Having an M1, having an M2, jumping the M3 to the M4, be it that, they're saying that they need it for the tandem OLED, whatever. We'll get to that conversation, but um, nothing right now on the iPad drives the M series the way it needs to be. Final Cut,
nah.
even DaVinci, I don't think will drive the processing power to just push
Well,
what it needs.
and again, because of the limitations of iPad OS, you don't get all of the DaVinci Resolve experience
No,
because you kind of can't make it happen.
no, the
And
plug not all the plugins are going to be compatible. That again, it's like running a mobile version of Premiere Pro, and you know that you're
mhm,
getting the mobile version. There are limitations, but it's also the architecture of iPad OS. It is essentially iOS for iPad. It's
Yeah.
not Mac OS for iPad. Until they do
No.
that, till they give us an operating,
Now,
like they don't want to
now,
carnage or basically go to their
TK, I
airspace.
feel like you are so out of touch though. I'm on Threads, and the Apple fan base on Threads, they know what's up. They can
No,
read
no,
the
I
market
used
and
M
talk to
series.
average
I got
consumers.
excited to see the M4. I'm not gonna lie.
And
I was
all of
excited
those
to know.
people
Yeah.
on Threads are telling me that people who say they want things like Mac OS and proper Mac OS programs to run on they don't know what they're talking about.
Because
All
they
those
don't.
consumers out there who want an iPad that can do more Mac OS style stuff, they don't really want that. If they got it, they really wouldn't want it. So I think you're just out of touch, TK. I know you use like Microsoft Surface Pros, and you have the Robo Incala, and
Mhm.
you've used Chrome OS tablets.
Yep.
You've covered Slate computers, the Surface Book and the Surface Studio, and the Lenovo's that turn into tablet. Like you've used all of these full operating system tablets, but really, I mean, let's keep it real here. If consumers got what they really wanted, they'd soon discover that's not really what they wanted. They don't want Mac OS in a tablet, obviously. So I
My
think you
only
just need
problem is
to tap into that average consumer
and I'm not
mind
the average.
share.
Maybe I am not the average consumer when it comes to iPads or the iPhones or the I series devices. I only got into M series on MacBook Pro because of a substantial issue that was existent in the mobile ecosystem. Windows on Intel or Windows on even on Ryzen was just not optimized for productivity for what we do for a living.
On
For
battery, yeah.
on battery on for content creation, it was just never. The moment you got any kind of power, your battery tanked. There was no way to edit videos in a reasonable manner when you're traveling, when you're on a flight, when you're doing things outside on battery that was even remotely functional. And after many rave reviews from many people, especially creators, our friends, again, because I was very skeptical at the time, but it was a super challenge. Dude. I was running on an Acer Concept D that it ran a 2080 Ti on as a GPU. It was a beauty. It was the fastest thing I could ever do on it. Nvidia,
Mm-hmm.
not Nvidia. Then Premiere did something, and I forgot what it was about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. They shifted something in their procedures, how they optimize for Nvidia. The process took forever, but I kid you not, I could not render. I'd be able to
Yeah.
maybe edit the video on low resolution and low power mode, but I could
Mm-hmm.
not render. I would have to wait till I got to the hotel to
Sure.
render it. And then I switch over to an M1 Max. I can edit 5 videos, render all 5 videos, and then still have about 30% battery on a flight. I was shocked. And that was purely because of what Apple's been able to do on the M series. And I appreciated that.
Yeah.
I The biggest thing that I say that right now that intrigues me about the iPad is the M4, but I also know that it's not truly M4 as I've experienced M series. It's a,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's like saying again, we have we have a processor that's way OP for where it is. It shouldn't be in this device. It should be, but I think Apple wanted to compete with X Elite. Like
Mm-hmm.
they knew Google was in the process. They obviously they could see the signs on the wall, right? Orion was announced about a year before that. They saw a Tech Summit where we talked about, gaming. They're starting to see more things. So they were able to kind of they decided to skip over M3, go to M4 because they felt like, Qualcomm and Media and Snapdragon is going to basically kind of go straight at what was already available. So the 2 and the 3, and then now it's 4. So maybe they're going to be able to color the conversation saying, well, X Elite is, yeah, maybe they beat our M2 or M3s, but we're at M4 now. So the conversation is different. Like that's not relevant almost, but
But
I'm
TK,
jumping ahead of myself.
now
Sorry.
they have ray tracing.
That
That's
is
what
something
you said you
I
always needed
I
was
wanted
ray.
ray
See, look,
tracing.
I'm doing ray tracing on, and the fire looks a little different than with ray tracing off.
The
See, it's different.
dude, look at the shadows, look at the details. That looks
You
like
can
a
tell
real
by the pixels.
You swipe to the left. You swipe to the left. You can definitely see that's a fire. On the right, that just
Dun
looks like
dun
hard
dun dun
garbage.
dun 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 dun. Ray tracing, it's got it now. Ray tracing, it's got it. Okay, so anyway,
You're gonna get
so
demonetized so
here's
fast.
the other thing
French
that
are gonna come over here and kick our ass. Sorry.
I know, right? We're also just going to quickly check out the Apple site now. Why don't we put together an order? I'm not buying one of these, but let's say you're going to try and jump into the iPad Pro mission. You think that the Slate is going to be your solution, right? And for all these people that keep saying, like,
I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm not interested to see how does it compare to a MacBook Pro, but it's just not even in the same ballpark. Like, how do you even compare those?
But this is what I think is so interesting. Is again, I'm listening to Apple editorialists, and I've caught a couple pieces of podcasts, and it's funny to me that at once they still feel like they need to defend Apple against the criticism of Mac OS. Well, people really wouldn't want Mac OS on an iPad. That's not what people really want. But then they go and talk about all the things that they'd want to fix on the iPad, and they kind of inadvertently invent the Surface Pro just without Mac OS, because that's not what consumers really want. That's not what consumers should want. They think they want that, but they really shouldn't. But really, if we were going to fix the iPad, it would be almost exactly like a Surface Pro. So I just want to put this one together. Well, I mean, or what would you want to go with, an 11-inch or a 13-inch?
No, I would go, if I had to kind of
iPad.
pick one, I would probably go with the 13, mostly because of that nano, not the nano, the tandem OLED, that technology that supposedly MC or M4 was required for, which is only
Yeah.
available on the expensive side.
Because screen technology really needs different processor technologies. You can't put nicer screens on different processors. So,
Dude, when in the words of J-Lo, when you know, you know.
you know, you know.
You know.
So are you going silver or space black?
I have a silver Mac. I'll probably go with space black.
Okay, space
Only
black.
because I feel
And
like that. Yeah.
now, are you a filthy poor person, or are you going to upgrade the storage?
So
because also you can't get more RAM unless you upgrade the storage.
Well, actually, storage aside, actually, if I'm not mistaken, you can't get the tandem nano, whatever that thing is, till you get to the 1 terabyte. That was the other caveat.
That's right.
I didn't mention to anybody else. So 1 terabyte is the
Yes.
starter. The 256 isn't about a price
No.
poorness. It's more you don't get the feature that you want. It's like the iPhone
Yes.
Pro Max plus, Shazam kind of thing.
It's tied to storage, RAM, and chipset. The display technology that they sold people on, you can't get until you at least cross to a $1,900 iPad Pro. So, I mean, are you going to do the 1 terabyte as a poor person? Or are you going to step it up and get that Big Daddy 2 terabytes and show people that you have given Apple the money that Apple
I can't
deserves?
read the number on this site. What's the price difference? Is it a kidney?
So going from 1 terabyte to 2 terabytes is going from $1,900 to $2,300 for a terabyte of storage and some other.
Yeah, you know what? I'll save that $400 because I want to get accessories. I'll go with the 1 terabyte. If I was going to go with a combination,
So disappointing, TK. I mean, some people are wealthy and prosperous, and I guess some people are just broke. So you just want your broke
Google and make
tablet.
fix the whole freaking AdSense situation so that we can make money like regular average people as opposed to poor people.
But you do now have the option for your nano texture glass.
Yes.
So I'll tap that for you, but that's going to add another $100.
What? I thought
You don't get the nano texture glass when you step up to 1 terabyte. No. You just have the option of getting the nano texture glass.
1 terabyte with a non-text. Okay.
And with the standard glass, that was the $1,900. So now you're up to $2,000. You're up to $1,999 to get your precious nano texture glass. you didn't want to step up to get the good 2 terabytes and give Apple more profit, so you still need to get more money. Now, do you want cellular, or do you want just Wi-Fi?
Okay, I'll be very honest. Microsoft made me appreciate having cellular connectivity on the device. So I would go with the cellular version, even if I don't use it all the time, but I can pop in my SIM in there if I want to be mobile and work. Because the Surface Pro 9 5G, that was the number one selling point for me.
That was pretty
Anywhere I
sweet.
want. Yeah, it was just the easiest thing. You pop it up, it's open, it's already running. You start doing your thing, you close it, you go, you're connected. You're always connected, and the battery lasted forever. So cellular. We'll go. We'll give.
So
We'll
okay,
give Apple
Wi-Fi plus
money.
cellular. Now you're at $2,200.
Jeez.
I'm gonna say no engraving, even though engraving is free. So
Well, I was
that
gonna
that
say,
doesn't help you.
tkbay at the. Okay, fine, whatever. Okay, so with no engraving.
No engraving. No, because that doesn't cost any extra money.
Or,
So there's no point in getting the
It
engraving.
just destroys the
'Cause
value
that doesn't-
if I have to resell it. Yeah, I get it.
And that doesn't show people that you spent more on it, because they know, oh, he got it engraved, but you can get engraving for free, and that's like broke behavior. Why would you get something for
You think
free?
they would let you engrave saying this is expensive on the back of it?
So now are you going to get the Apple Pencil Pro?
Yes.
Or are you going to be another broke joke and get the Apple Pencil USB-C?
No. We got to go with the Pro, man. I got to be able
okay.
I got to be able to rotate that sucker. And
again, no engraving, because the engraving is free. So that's not worth it. Now, here again, because we're really going to try and live this iPad Pro lifestyle, you have to get the Magic Keyboard.
Yes.
Right?
Okay. Well, that was
so
the reason
ahead
why I didn't go 2 terabytes, because I wanted to pay the 129 plus the 249, 349. Wait, is it 349?
Now, I'm assuming you want it to match, so we'll do the space black.
Yes. I don't think
Okay,
it looks great
we'll
with
do
black and
space black.
Yeah. We'll go, sir.
All right, and no trade-in, because again, you don't want to. Well, no, but you don't want to take money away
from like years ago. But yeah,
right. But you don't want to take money and profit out of Apple's pockets. That's what broke poor people do. You should be proud to spend as much money as you can on your iPad Pro.
Go full bore. We're gonna max out the credit card, max it out to the next level. You're right.
So we're going to. So just so you know, I would still say you have to get Apple Care. So that's going to be another $170. But right now, for the iPad at 1 terabyte, the pen and the keyboard, you're at $2,677
with tax.
Before tax.
Jeez, so you got 3,000.
Why would you even say that to me? Like, that's what Apple's going to make, not the money you're going to give to the state of California.
Dude, I am.
We only care about how much money Apple's going to make.
I am blind. The only thing I can see from my size right now, I'll be very honest with you, is a tiny iPad. No.
Tiny iPad.
Tiny iPad. And you said it was a 13-incher. No, it's tiny. No. I'm with you. You don't have to change the font size for me. I'm sure everybody else can. It's just the way I have my setup done.
No, I know, because I'm just like, so I just want to pull this up now. So if I get a MacBook Pro, and so we did the 13-inch.
We did the 13-inch. So I mean.
So what? So we'll do the 14-inch.
So M Pro.
I want to see.
Well, if you.
So, I mean, we.
Full on the M Max, the 14 M3 Max. But so you want have the and then you go with
14-inch M3 Pro, and
so
that's the M3. We're not going to the Max. It's the M3 Pro that has 18 gigabytes of unified memory, 1 terabyte of storage, just like our iPad. The keyboard is included in the price of the laptop, so you don't need to buy a standalone laptop, and that's $2,400.
Dang.
Yeah.
You're buying a MacBook Pro.
So you don't have a touch screen.
Well, and you have
because Apple apparently can't figure out how to do touch support on Mac OS.
No.
But I cannot imagine any scenario or any consumer who is seriously looking at some type of portable computing device and is thinking, Well, for the cellular connectivity, and I don't want to have to connect my phone to my laptop to piggyback on that data connection, I need to spend $2,700 trying to make a tablet a laptop when the MacBook Pro with the Pro chip, not even just the base model M3, it's the M3 Pro chip, is an absolute monster and is
yes.
hundreds of dollars cheaper than the fully kitted out iPad.
It is such an overlap in just sheer pricing. Like they're literally pricing themselves out of their own competition, out of their own game, and it's in a really bad way. You're right. You're right. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I don't get it.
There are other tablets. There are other iPads that carry over.
Buy a MacBook Pro and get a Wacom graphics tablet. And you're still
right. It doesn't
under the price of.
You'd be better off saving that much money that you're going to spend. Wait for them to release the M4 Pro, which we obviously know is going to be coming in a few more months, and get yourself a MacBook Pro. You're right.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, you're not getting the power of the M4 the way the M4 is supposed to be. We are not. It is not set up. Apple does not want to cannibalize their Air series, because the reality of the matter is it is absolutely just OP in the functional sense, like it just, but not in a reality sense. It's just more of in a theoretical sense, till they really show us functional options. If they are going to truly bring in things that are able to drive it, but then the question would be is, why would you want to drive that on a tablet? You know what I mean? Like I get it. There's the functional options they talked about. Was it called director mode or something like that, where they're able to use the Final Cut camera app to be able to see multiple angles from the iPhone, whatever. That's a great feature. I feel like it's a great thing if you're a Final Cut user.
Yeah.
But having okay, and then releasing the M1, the pencil pen, the Apple Pencil, not the pencil pen.
Because we have now 4 different flavors of Apple Pencil.
Well, not only that, it's not backwards compatible. It's only on the new tech.
No.
So you got to buy the new. You got to buy the new hotness.
And your old pencil isn't going to work unless you were one of the people foolish enough to buy the USB-C gimped pencil that doesn't do as much as the previous better pencil.
Yeah, nobody would have bought that. So look.
So again, for us even making this comparison here, the Hawks TV and Michael Peppertech have both called this out because we still haven't been fair to the MacBook Pro. So Hawks is saying, don't forget the accessories, and Michael Peppertech expands on that. The Magic Keyboard compatible case to protect it when you're using it off, and dongles to connect and use to get things like SD cards and cables to connect to your monitor, and all of the expansion that you can do on a MacBook Pro because it is literally a pro computing device.
You get more than one USB-C port, which is it. If you want to do anything, it got to be.
So we need to factor in the cost of a hub that will be compatible with the iPad, because not all of our laptop hubs, even with USB-C ports, are compatible.
Yeah.
We need a memory card reader. We need extra USB ports. We need all of that, which is just a part of the MacBook experience. I am so viscerally disgusted by Apple's executive corporate leadership policy, but the M series chips in MacBooks have been some of the best competition we've seen in the laptop space. It's one of the product lines that I still feel is executed to a high degree, that is a good reflection of what the company can do.
Yeah.
In fostering competition and actually being a market leader, the market leader they claim to be. And the iPad Pro almost stands as like the complete polar opposite of that to me. It is a compromised product by design that still exists as an in-betweener. It's in between your phone and your laptop, and it can't do either. It can't facilitate any type of advanced computing, and even though it is more powerful, it is still held back by its very by the very design of what Apple wants it to be. I don't get $2,700. I think the maximum spec'd out all the accessories is around $4,000. Is madness.
If you went 2 terabyte with Wi-Fi, with LTE or whatever 5G, And then
Apple Care, because again, we need to add another 170 to that $2,700 for Apple Care. So when we fully kit everything out, we could probably just instead get a MacBook Pro with an M3 Max chip and have just yet another tier of performance and versatility.
Actually, on Swappa, you can pick up an M3 Max with the highest configuration Max with a 1 terabyte SSD with 48 gigs of RAM for $3,100. I say that because I'm not going to lie and say
maybe
that
shopping.
Well, no, okay. Look, I not that I've hit a certain point with M1, but M1 Max for me has been working very well. I know that if I upgrade to anything upgraded from there, it has to be the Max series, and the latest and greatest is the M3. And M3 Max will be a big jump, but I feel like the M4 Max will definitely be a much better jump for me. Although I feel like my M1 will probably be much less appreciated value, whatever. For me right now, what it does very well. But I'm starting to hit some limitations with what I'm able to deal with it. That's one of the only reasons I was looking. But again, it's hard for me to justify going full retail Apple product, because even with the M1 Max that I have, I bought it used. I bought it used from a friend. I knew the person that was using it, so obviously it was very, very well taken care of. But it's hard. Yeah, no retail pricing. For a device that literally is primarily going to be used for media consumption, productivity in general, maybe just office work, but not real level. I mean, even if you connect it to a big monitor and a dock,
I kind of pointed
still
out
runs
that
iPad OS. It's not really designed to be functional like that.
I do appreciate that Apple seems to be the only company that can move the needle on higher quality content creation programs being made for more mobile distribution. But beyond Logic, DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut, if you're okay with the limitations of a mobile OS and the barriers that you run into, you can facilitate a similar, if slightly slower experience on Chrome OS for a fraction the price. Like 20% of the price. And it's not going to be tremendously dissimilar when you buy nicer into Chrome OS than if you bought like iPad Pro.
Yeah,
if we wanted to spend up a little bit more than that, there are some solutions. You've got a Surface Pro, which think about how much criticism the Surface Pro SQ3 got for how expensive it was. And it is less powerful than this iPad Pro, but man, that Surface Pro was not $2,700 before extended warranties, and all of your other accessories and stuff.
It was $1,899, and that was with the top spec version of it. No, I get it. So, I get it. And it's a tougher look. It's very hard to recommend a spec'd out top of the line iPad for what most people use.
It's kind of difficult to even recommend like your starter iPad Pros. I feel like you're still fundamentally having
iPad
the
Airs
same
and the standard
issues.
iPads are, I feel like, where Apple needs to, what most people buy anyways. I don't think they're making their revenue shares and all of that based on the Pro Series sales. It's the sheer volume of $350 iPads that are able to be picked up right now. When my mother-in-law wanted to pick up an iPad because she needed to do FaceTime with the family member in Canada, I went literally with the most cost-effective used version that I could find that worked and still had warranty on it. And it just, that's all it is. At the end of the day, a tablet to a certain point, I will give Samsung credit in the sense of what Samsung's trying to do with their tablet size when we go Ultra. Even with their Ultra side, right now, you can pick it up for like maybe $500, $600. The Tab S9 Ultra. The approach to what Samsung's been doing with One UI, with DeX, at least they're trying to leverage some type of a usability experience where it's mimicking a laptop experience. So you can
a PC.
Get that. Like your mind understands, I have this super large display, but I'm still using tiny apps. No, I can open them up and pop up windows. We saw Xiaomi.
Well, this is kind of This is kind of going to the point that Michael Peppertech has been dropping some great comments. I'm not reading through all of them. But he's mentioning specifically the 3D object tracking for Final Cut Pro is crazy good. Also, Procreate doing new stuff with the M4 and the NPU. I wish we'd see these apps on Android tablets. And to that point, MPT, we won't. Like, no one takes Android seriously for that type of high-level content creation or productivity. But TK and I got to see demos of X Elite, and I'm telling you, Windows on ARM is going to be a shocker for when you can plug DaVinci Resolve in emulation mode, tapping the MPU on the Qualcomm chip and driving that beyond anything that we've ever seen from a current spec Intel machine. So that's where the competition's going to go. Yeah. And when Qualcomm sort of validates the app, other companies can do this too, it's not just Apple, then hopefully we'll see like a DaVinci Resolve maybe reach out to Samsung, just like LumaFusion did. Yeah. And LumaFusion only came to Android because they got a little bit of a nudge from Samsung. If that can continue, it's only going to be validated by Windows on ARM first. And then hopefully we'll see it trickle into Chrome and Android too. But Google has this huge uphill battle in trying to change the minds of developers to take Android more seriously for this kind of stuff because we've got the horsepower. The NPU on a Dimensity is incredibly powerful and it's going horrifically underutilized. And if we could plug DaVinci Resolve into a Vivo X100 Pro, I guarantee you it would give Apple a run for its money, even though this M4 is supposed to be so much more powerful. Apple hasn't dedicated the RAM or the NPU performance to the M series chips like they've been claiming. Oh, well, we're the best for AI. But you kind of aren't. It's just that you've got developers that are actually going to jump in and utilize that NPU for more than just, can you blur the background in my Zoom call?
Come on, isn't that what AI is supposed to be? Blurring background.
Well, it's kind of all it is. That's what's sad, is it's supposed to be more.
No, I mean, yeah, and then, like I said, the term AI to me right now is very loosely used and translated. I mean, there are certain functions I'll say that are absolutely great, like the large language models, like the ChatGPT, the Geminis, and and the Copilot, which ChatGPT 4. I feel like they have a lot of functional options in there. I feel like they're good services to try to assist us in creating content and maybe creating things on the side to be able to help us. But the reality of the matter is Apple's been lacking in this department tremendously. Okay. Ray tracing, again, welcome to the club. We've had it for many years on Qualcomm, and literally been on Qualcomm X Elite gaming, for the last 2 years, 2 generations at least. So, yeah. The reality is, I'm not going to say that we're stagnant, but I feel like that minor spec bump year over year, and yeah, M4 may be a shiny word, but it's a shiny word. It's not really where it's meant to be. We won't really get the potential of the M4. Again, when I heard M4, it was more of a shock of where is the M3? Why are we doing M4? What's the reason? And then that's what drove me to figure out what it is. And then I'm not going to lie and say part of me was wondering, will an M4 on an iPad beat an M1 Max on a MacBook Pro 16? That is a comparison that I would love to see. But yeah, is it $23,000 worth of expense for me to test that? It's a tall order. It's a very tall order, especially with X Elite and Computex coming out very soon. Like, I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot of things coming out of Computex and Type A. There's going to be a lot of conversation around X Elite, and I would love to be able to say, well, and this is or an M3 Max or an M4 Max.
I'm going X Elite. My big mission by the end of the summer, I want to see if I can find roughly comparable video editing and rendering performance on an X Elite laptop as compared to my second generation Threadripper workstation that currently has a 4070 Ti. Because if I can, that means I'll have similar work productivity capability at 1/10 the peak power draw of my Threadripper.
And mobility, which is a beautiful thing.
And I unplug a cable and I can put it in my bag, and I have my work system able to do my work on an airplane where I don't immediately have to plug it in after 10 minutes of editing.
Or
so that's the mission.
Plug it in on an airplane. That's the other thing, that you actually are able to plug it in, because
my MSI Creator, that could not be powered by an airplane socket for sure. No, but this is also why, like, so much of what we're talking about, we've chilled on the Android conversation. The Android side of this conversation hasn't kept up with some of this power user content creation, artistry, editing, productivity, and where we were a couple years ago, where I was really trying to promote the idea of desktop modes on phones. We have incredible amounts of compute power and performance in our pockets, but people aren't bringing the apps to that conversation. People aren't bringing the apps to those computers. And so if I need it, and it's going to show up on Windows on ARM, and I have a variety of products that I can pick and choose from. There's competition that's going to help keep pricing a bit more in check. I can look at different companies, like Asus put out an announcement. Lenovo's going to go in on this. We know Microsoft is going to have their own premier sort of representative product of what Windows on ARM should be.
Oh, I'm sure.
This is so much more exciting to me than a $2,700 iPad.
No, absolutely, absolutely. No. The big picture, I think it's, again, it just seems like it missed the mark, like, tremendously. And for anybody that does
Apple is on the defensive, and they are reacting to trends in PC land and in Android land and in AI land, and they are not delivering the moves that I think are. They're not strengthening their relationship with their shareholders, and it really does feel like they're making corporate decisions to make shareholders happy, not to make end users and customers happy, which ultimately will backfire, because then end users and customers aren't going to be investing in these products the way that they used to, and that's just going to further weaken Apple's economic stance, which is just going to upset shareholders. Like, again, this seems like a downward spiral of a lack of vision and a fault in executive leadership. I've said the same thing about Google. I've said the same thing about Microsoft. I love each of these individual divisions that are making really, really cool work and doing really, really cool things. The executive leadership at all of these big tech companies leaves a lot to be desired if we're looking at the health, sustainability, and long-term forecasts of what makes trillion-dollar corporations successful.
No, I'm with you, and I think that's the biggest. That's one of my biggest challenges for iPad. But I'm realizing we're going, obviously, as we always try to keep it at a solid 90. But and I don't want to.
We got to talk about this watch, though.
Yeah, I was about to say, we got to do a hard 90-degree turn to the left there, and start talking about our. I want to say, and I think you put it really, really nicely. And yeah, sorry.
Now my camera's not focusing.
Lumix does not like the Z-Watch. Okay, let's see here. You think Sony's going to do better? You think Sony will like it? I don't know. Let's see.
Come on, focus. Oh, you jerk. I mean, man, usually I win that fight.
It was bound to happen, right? One of these days I was going to have to win.
One of these days.
One of these. Bam, right there. Right there, and right there. Always there.
So this is the TicWatch 5 Pro Enduro.
Pro 5. I said the same thing. It's actually
Is Pro it Pro 5? Or
it is Pro.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, TicWatch Pro 5.
Yes, the Pro 5.
The name of it is TicWatch Pro.
It is.
And it's the 5th generation.
It is.
And it's the Enduro version of the 5th generation.
Which implies better endurance, better battery, better optimizations. Some of the things that we we kind of got really, really, I would say, pampered with Qualcomm and OnePlus bringing on, yeah.
Don't stop talking to hold the
Yeah,
box. I'm
I
doing
know.
the visual right. You
Well,
were
you do the
making a
visual, I'll do the
point.
dance. So, well, we saw a lot of the optimizations being done, and basically Wear OS working better with multiple, well, at least with OnePlus running in with multiple OSs, RTOS as well as Wear OS. Here, we're using what TicWatch's bread and butter has been to this day, with nobody else actually even trying to dip their fingers into that pool. And that's the dual display. We have better functionalities, more optional, more customizations on the external, the low power display on the outside. I love the ability of being able to scroll through my data as I'm actually, doing a run or doing exercises with it. Battery life has definitely gained some, like, at least a couple of days for me from what I'm used to with my Pro 5. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, that's been the biggest win for me. It still has some challenges, and I say that purely because the Pro 5 had the same challenges, and I think we're still lacking assistant functionality. But I
Yep.
kind of actually started to, I'll say this, look, I like having the assistant on my watch. What I like more than having the assistant on my watch is the ability of being able to respond to messages, rich content, be able to basically not only get the notifications, but respond straight back with voice, with typing, with everything on my watch, and have it work
Yep.
really nicely. I really, I would really easily trade better battery versus the assistant, because I feel like the assistant and the
Mm-hmm.
architecture of it seems to drain the battery faster regardless of where it is. Again, OnePlus, to their credit and everything, they had to jump into 2 different operating system to get it to run to 4 days. That's the hoop
Yep.
that they had to jump through. Here, we have 2 displays. We don't really compromise in the Wear OS, but we just, again,
So
it
I kind of want to draw a parallel there because I
sure.
love the OnePlus watch and I love the TicWatch. And
Mhm.
both of them, in very different ways, have arrived at a two watches in one strategy.
Yeah,
So
and I think TicWatch has been doing it for a while, yeah.
The OnePlus watch is literally an Android Wear watch and an RTOS watch in one.
Yeah.
And it can slip into a low power state and then it wakes up out of that to stay in Wear OS, or you can manually just make it a fitness tracker.
Mhm.
And the battery life will be incredible when you disable Wear OS and it's just a basic fitness band style
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think Mobvoi ever got enough credit for doing something similar. So they've always had the main Qualcomm processor and then some extra little chiplet that handled all of the fitness, like it tracks all your steps, your
Focus.
calories,
Yeah.
your heart rate, all of that. And you can shut off the Wear OS part of this and just run it as a passive fitness tracking watch.
Yeah.
And it'll run for like a month on a single charge
Oh, no,
when
yeah.
you run it in its endurance mode. So again, I kind of feel like both companies have arrived at a two watch in one strategy, and it showcases sort of the limitations of the Pixel Watch, in my opinion. The
Mhm.
Pixel Watch is a very good traditional Apple Watch kind of competitor. You've got to charge it sort of every day,
Pretty much,
and
yeah.
that's just the reality of a good computer on your wrist kind of device. Mobvoi, we can eliminate the power draw of a thirsty OLED, and you can run most of the watch just from the passive LCD display. OnePlus, you can slip it down into more of a fitness tracker mode. This is where Wear OS has really evolved. It's sad that we keep revisiting. Trev on the Discord mentioned
Mhm.
this. It's like we keep inventing cool new screen technologies that are better for power consumption, but they just don't look as pretty as OLED. And then we keep forgetting that, like, oh yeah, that kind of tech actually radically improves battery life. Like we had the Pebble, we had the Mirasol display on the Qualcomm Talk. Like this has a passive LCD. It's got a transparent LCD, so it's reflective. It gets easier to read in bright sunlight. It's what you want when you have a rugged outdoor fitness tracker.
Mhm.
You don't want it to have the same limitations as your phone screen. So I've just been really tickled to be back on a TicWatch. Like you, I kind of got used to not using Google Assistant from
Yeah,
my watch.
I stopped.
So I miss it, but not really.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's the optimizations, and then also knowing that the other major change from the TicWatch Pro 5, the Enduro has moved over to a sapphire crystal display. So it even gives us a little bit better scratch resistance and durability than the TicWatch Pro 5.
And I think this is the biggest thing that we have to keep in mind. It's a year-over-year upgrade. It definitely, if you're looking for a watch, I definitely would point you in this direction a little more. And where I mean, they've done it for they're sticking to what they do and they do best, and that's providing you a great experience on on a piece of mobile tech that you can wear and not have to worry if you have it on a full charge to go for 4 or 5 days, a little vacay without having to bring the charger with you and just not sweat it. And because even if it does
Yeah.
run low, it jumps into endurance mode,
Yeah,
and
it's
at that
still
point, it
and
still
it's still
will run.
tracking your steps.
Yeah,
Like
it's
you're
still
still
tracking
going to
your
get
steps.
that data when you connect
Exactly.
it back.
So
Yeah.
it still has a backup to fall on. So I like it. So um, from a functional standpoint, I think this is going to be the 2024 driver. I'm hoping at some point we'll see some upgrade to better version of the Wear
I
OS.
am bouncing between this and the OnePlus Watch really hard. Like
Yeah,
I really like both of them. I think they're both great watches.
I
And
like the
the nice thing
functional
about
crown. I like the functional
yeah,
crown.
I
It
like I
is
like
so much easier to
I
just basically swipe up,
I
swipe
miss
out.
that so much whenever I'm wearing the OnePlus Watch that you
Yeah,
can scroll through stuff.
such a missed opportunity there, but yeah, no, for sure.
Even though it's offset, it would still be fine if it was a functional rotating crown. But the cool thing about Enduro being out though,
Yeah,
you can capture most of this experience now with the TicWatch Pro 5. Like I think TicWatch Pro 5, actually, you know what? I'm on the site. We can just look this up. The TicWatch, you don't get the sapphire display.
no,
You lose about 10% of the estimated total runtime,
mhm.
but it's on sale right now for $262. So Pro 5 Enduro is starting out at so TicWatches usually start out at like 350,
Mhm.
but for almost the same overall experience as the Enduro, a little less battery runtime, and a Gorilla Glass screen instead of a sapphire crystal display, you can get this for $260. That's a really good buy.
And it's a good watch that'll last for a long time.
And it's a real good watch.
Yeah.
You will be the last smartwatch to get to get Wear OS updates. They'll be behind on that. That's a bummer, but it's a good watch.
It is. No, I mean, so between the two, I think the reality is they're both great options. You could pick one or the other. The not to say the compromises, the benefits that you're getting with the new one again are there. I mean, they're exact. It depends on your need. I mean, obviously, if you really absolutely need the longest battery life, the Enduro wins right now on this architecture. Actually even it edges more than the OnePlus, but that's again because of the dual display, the way they've been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
OnePlus does have the assistant where here we don't, so it's like you have to kind of figure out what you want. I think the assistant in general, overall in a watch, has lost for me the appeal, and I think it was primarily because of the way Google handled it. For years, we had some kind of an agreement with Samsung, where Samsung and Pixel are the only people or the only companies that can have a fully functional version of Wear OS that has the assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Which of course Samsung launches it with Bixby first, and then later lets you do the assistant because that's how we do it. And then people like Mobvoi, people like some of the other
Well, and
manufacturers.
Fossil's just out of the game.
Yeah, they're like
they're just gone.
But why would you want to play the game anymore? It's
Well,
not
what makes me sad. What makes me sad is Fossil not just walked away from Wear OS, they also killed their own hybrid line. And the Fossil hybrid watches were pretty cool. I really wish that they had iterated on that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they could have made a serious play. It would have taken a little time to build up, and I understand that's an expensive endeavor. But they could have made a serious play in the fitness lifestyle category at least in a way where they could have been giving like Garmin's a run for their
Yeah,
run for their
absolutely,
money.
absolutely.
But unfortunately, like they're just gone. They're just
So
out
yeah,
of the
but
game
like
entirely.
again, conversation being where it is and what's going on. Um, will Google focus on bringing a Pixel Watch this year that is bigger, more attuned to male hands, not just a Fitbit that just happens to be a Pixel Watch? So we'll have to see how that kind of comes out. But if you're looking for a watch, I think right now it came out of left field. I'm going to tell you, I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, it
When we found out
wasn't.
about it, it just came out of left field. But it carried the enthusiasm that we loved about with the OnePlus watch. With everything optimized with W5 Plus, Wear OS in there. They're using their own app as we've seen before, and still support all the apps from the Google Play Store. Custom watch faces. I even have a custom watch face running on mine. Um,
Hmm.
I'm still working on finishing my video. I do I have a whole bunch of things. I'm a large backlog that I'm working through. As you probably have noticed this week, I've already launched 2 videos. There's another video going up tomorrow morning.
Hmm.
Um, just trying to get ready for things, and I'm expecting the 8A to come in next week. Hopefully, or I'm hoping Team Pixel helps us out with that as well. And there's just more stuff coming in, things I can't talk about yet. I just
Same.
we're getting back to being busy, and I'm
Oh,
happy.
embargoes.
Yeah, I know. It kind of
The San
went
Francisco treat, ding ding.
April and March for me kind of went on this weird hiatus where it's just kind of dried out, like there was nothing happening, and then suddenly May comes around and is like, "Merry Christmas again." So yeah. So short story, incredibly long. Definitely check it out. Juan already has his video. Hopefully, I'll try to put out my video this weekend. I do apologize. And then trying to kind of capture that a little bit on the momentum there. It's a great watch. I love it, and I rather have better battery, longer battery, functional system, and again a proven ecosystem that Mavo has been doing really good. And they keep innovating in the display, the outer display, the transparent display. They keep adding more functions, customizing backlights, and the ability of just again integrating a rotating crown that just makes it easy. You click, you swipe up from the bottom, you swipe down from the top. You just don't have to swipe. It runs, and you have that tactile feeling. The haptic motor is actually very nice. So I'm very happy with it. And as you see there,
I've
Ron
really
showing
been
us all
digging
the good
it.
stuff. Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Now knowing that we've gotten a little bit longer, I just want to say, obviously, I should maybe ask you, what should we expect from Senor Bagnell? Is there anything coming out this weekend, tomorrow,
So,
maybe?
tomorrow, I published it already on the Patreon. I did a look at the Ceramonic mics.
Okay.
I also did a short today, just kind of looking at my issues with the Xiaomi 14,
Yeah, I saw
testing
that.
it to see if the camera lens would fog on mine, and it does. So that's very disappointing for Xiaomi, for such an expensive phone. Tomorrow, I should get that microphone review out public,
Okay.
and then, because I've been talking about it, I know people on my channel are kind of sick of hearing about it, but the Ace PCs, not Ace PCs, Ace Magic systems that I had that got sent to me with some malware, I still was going to finish the review
Hmm.
on testing out the, this is the AD08.
Hmm.
It's been around for a little while. A couple other channels have already covered it. And it was one of the systems I got, I think most was caught up in this conversation about Ace Magic slipping up on their QA.
Yeah.
Like, it's a real bad look when systems are sent to regular consumers and reviewers that have malware and are flagged for, viruses on scans and stuff. So this is an Intel Core i9 12900H, and I have some questions for my audience on this one. So outside of the malware issues, just reviewing the machine for what it is and what it can do, I'll be curious to hear people's thoughts. What are you looking for, or what kind of workload makes sense for a top of the line CPU but integrated graphics? As a question to put it out there. Like, who is most going to benefit from a system like this? And my performance testing was kind of eye-opening for me, because I really haven't spent a lot of time with i9s since the 9th gen
Oh, wow.
Intel parts.
Yeah.
I mean, I've mostly just been on i5s and i7s, I really haven't done anything with Core i9s. Along that same time, AMD's mobile parts have gotten really competitive. So what Intel is doing with their i9s is exciting, but can sometimes be outperformed by a Ryzen 7. So depending on your workload, maybe it makes sense to spend less and get more performance from an AMD part. So anyway, I really did want to dig into this because this is going to help kind of kick off, for me, the summer looking at Core 9 and Core 7 Ultra. So the 155H and the 185H. And then that leads us directly into X Elite. And once we start getting X Elite parts, I don't know. I think Intel has a very tough road ahead of them in trying to keep up a performance and a performance per watt conversation with their customers.
Yeah, and or even justify, why if they're it's more of a relevancy. I mean, Windows on ARM and Mac OS ARM architecture approach with the M series is just, it's changing everything. It's everything we've ever wanted from laptops. It's power and battery savings and power to last. And I think that's what we all want. Again, same thing with our mobile devices. We want that 2 to 3 day battery life, where we typically don't get. And I think once you get that flavor and you see the benefit of it, you're like, crap, man, why is it not more known that you're able to do things like that? Again, it blew my mind the first time I edited. And at the time I was editing on Premiere, by the way. I wasn't even using DaVinci at the time.
Yeah.
But with DaVinci, it even runs so much faster, so much better than my Ryzen 4090 PC sitting behind me. But it's what I want. It's like when I'm traveling and I need to do work, I need my tech to be in the background. I need it to blend in. I don't need it to be my hurdle into how I'm producing content. And so much of my conversation whenever I traveled was always around that. And now having that type of solution,
and on top of like,
I want
Intel's desktop parts have been facing significant stability issues. Intel's trying to blame motherboard manufacturers. Some of their OEM partners are looking at using the laptop chips in desktop builds just to rein in power draw. And you're like, yeah, we're all kind of looking at different aspects of some of the same disease.
Yeah.
Like we're treating different symptoms, but they're all symptoms kind of pointing back to how entrenched the AMD versus Intel fight has gotten, and how x86 has not evolved with the changing tastes of consumers. And so this summer, I think, is going to be a very big step for a lot of us, just to re-examine our needs, re-examine our budgets, look at what our family and friends really need out of compute products, and does it make sense to start pushing consumers in a different direction, even knowing that's going to come with some software challenges. But yeah, so short story again, incredibly long. Video probably out tomorrow. A PC review, hopefully, it probably won't be this weekend. It'll probably end up being Monday for Patreon and then Wednesday for public release. And then I'm hoping some other stuff that's been under embargo I can finally start talking about, because I've got some audio gear, some microphones, some a laptop that I still have not been able to publish a video on. Some really, really cool stuff there too. So, excuse me, fingers crossed. Stuff I've been sitting on for months now will start making its way to public distribution channels.
For me, closing out the week is primarily going to be just putting the review for the gaming chair that I have, that I've been finally able to push that out. So I'll probably go out tomorrow, and again, I'll finish up the Mobvoi either late this week or maybe early next week for posting it online. I think just overall trying to get back into the flow of things and kind of pick up. I'm unfortunately hitting something I don't know what's going on. My voice is starting to kind of fade out as well.
Yep. Mine's dying too. So let's end this puppy.
So I do want to say, first and foremost, thank you very much to everybody for hanging out with us on this beautiful Thursday. And, make sure to catch Juan on Monday with the SGGQA and the audio podcast, which will be up in the next day or so. We appreciate you taking your time. And yeah, my voice is going. Oh, crap.
So, folks, be awesome with your technology, and we'll catch you back here for another cranky old man rant about the best tech we used that week. Take care. We love you all. and I'm gonna let TK